Hello, everyone, and welcome to the David Hittle Real Estate Show. It is Sunday once again. It is 2 o'clock here on the East Coast, and so it is time for another episode of the David Hittle Real Estate Show, brought to you by United Real Estate Louisville. So, as always, my name is David Hittle. I am, as always, the host of the David Hittle Real Estate Show. It took us a long time to come up with that name. So, hope you appreciate it. If you're watching me today on YouTube, thank you so much. You can comment here in the chat room, and I will be able to see it, and we'll be able to comment back to you as well. And if you're joining me today on Facebook Live, I greatly appreciate um, all the fans and all the views and all the watches that I receive from both sides. And so, when technology is willing to work, we will use it to try to stream on both and in both spaces to try to get the most viewership possible. So on today's show, we are going to talk about the first quarter housing market report. So this report comes out every month, but it's usually the longer of my episodes. So I try not to. I'm trying not to do them every single month because they just get repetitive. People get bored if you take too long as well. So we're gonna talk about the first quarter and what happened between the first of between January of this year until today, until last month, and hopefully, we will answer some of those important questions that I have been asked. Are we in a bubble? Where are mortgage interest rates going to go? Where are housing prices going to go, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get started. Sam Katier, he is the vice president and chief economist at Freddie Mac. And Freddie Mac, of course, is one of the government loan entities. Says, quote, the main driver of the housing shortfall has been the long-term decline in the construction of single-family homes. That is something that I have heard from a lot of experts now. Single-family home construction has been behind like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The builders were just not building, and I think it had to do a lot with 2008. And then it had a lot to do with the Great Recession that occurred a few years ago. Builders were just not pushing building as much. They would build sporadically, but they weren't on a massive scale building up communities like they should have been. So Sam Katier says the main driver of the housing shortfall has been the long-term decline in the construction of single-family homes. So the builders have not been building homes, and especially they have not been building homes at the rates that they should have been to keep up with the future demand. And then the coronavirus pandemic made that even worse because with the pandemic, lumber mills got shut down, steel mills got shut down, and those are all products that are necessary for building homes. And then, from what I also understand, there's now a glue shortage. So, the plywood that's used for your roof has a glue in it. And now there's a shortage of that glue as well. Sam went on to say that that decline has resulted in the decrease in supply of entry-level single-family homes or quote-unquote starter homes. And that's what we are seeing today. And the question gets asked all the time by my clients, by people who know me as a realtor and they want to know my opinion. They ask, are we in a bubble? And my opinion, my personal opinion on that is that we are not in a real estate bubble. We're not in a housing bubble. And here's why I can say that. The last bubble that we had was in 2008. The prices of homes had risen up, and lenders were pretty much allowing anyone who wanted a home loan to get a home loan. The standards, the regulations were not like what they are today. After 2008, the government stepped in and put in all sorts of regulations to prevent the sort of activity that was happening before. The subprime mortgage mess, where lenders would buy a bunch of, or would give out a bunch of loans and then would package all those loans up and sell them to other companies. And then those other companies would sell them to other companies. It was a big debacle and it was a big problem. The other issue that we had back in 2008 was there was massive supply. Massive supply. So if a buyer wanted to find a home that fit their needs, more than likely they were going to find 10, 20, 30 homes that fit their needs in their price range, and they wanted to see all of them. Today, a buyer's lucky to see one, two, three homes that actually fit their needs and that fit their budget. We just don't have the inventory that we did in 2008. That's the other big difference. So, with those two things, with those few things, I don't see the housing bubble as being a thing today. Now, can that change? Yes. If lending standards decided to take a dip and lenders started just providing loans to anybody who wanted one, no matter their financial situation, whether they could pay it back, etc., then yes, we may start to see that type of thing occur. But in today's market, the low inventory, low mortgage interest rates, and just the extraordinary amount of home buyers is what is causing prices to rise, and it is a supply and demand issue rather than a bubble that's about to burst, in my opinion. So, looking at what Sam was saying, single family housing units construction completed by decade. So, back in the 1970s, 11 million homes. 1980s, 9.8 million. 1990s, 10.7 million. The 2000s had 12.6 million. A lot of homes built in the 2000s. And then in the 2010s, this 2010 through 2020 or through 2019, 6.5 million. So you see that home constructors have only built about half of the homes in the 2010 to 2019 cycle that they did in 2000 and 2000 through 2009. So that is a big, big problem. And it's not just my clients that are asking about a bubble or a crash. Google reports that last week, the search question, when is the housing market going to crash, spiked 2,450%. So it's not just something that is on the minds of my clients or the people that I encounter. It is on the minds of people everywhere. And again, I personally have to say, just looking at the market, looking at the way it is, and knowing the history of the 2008 cycle and comparing that to today, I do not believe we are in any type of bubble, and I don't see any type of home price crash coming. Now, do I believe that home prices are going to start to stable out? Yes, I do. And I think we're already starting to see that. And I think that's propelled a little bit by appraisers that are saying, okay, no, the home buyers are out of control. There's no way that this home is worth $100, $200, $500,000 more than what they're asking for it. And I think that is starting to take effect as well. So the year-over-year change in listings, there has been an extraordinary spike in the number of listings. I believe this is because we are turning the corner in the pandemic. People are starting to feel more open um, about listing their homes. But on the other hand, the number of total listings is in the floor. It's in the tank. We are currently down 53% in the total number of listings that we normally have nationwide today. So while new listings have increased 40%, they're up 40% right now, the total listings are down 53%. So we need a whole lot more houses, a whole lot more inventory in order to turn this around. But I think slowly but surely, I believe it's coming. I believe it is coming, at least here in the Louisville, Lexington market. We are finally starting to see more homes hit the market, and that is what we've all been waiting for. And that very well may start to stabilize prices as well. So inventory levels from December, January, February, and March of 2020 were all over 1.2 million. Today, December, January, February, and March, we're looking at negative inventory levels, 800,000 plus. That's it. So inventory, as I continue to say, is way down. And I believe it's going to stay low unless we start to see a spike in home sellers willing to sell their homes, that very well may be coming. The National Association of Realtors says that demand remains strong as home buyers are snatching up listings quickly off the MLS. It's the multiple listing service. And it takes approximately 18 days for a home to go from listing to a contract in the current housing market. So 18 days is now the national average days on market. 18 days. That is like that. And of course, here in this area, in the Louisville Lexington market, you may get to see a home once before it's gone, if you get to see it once. It is amazingly quick. And a year ago, the average was 29 days. So everything is picking up. Home buyers are still out there. So if selling your home is something that's been on your mind, maybe you want to draw out some of the profit from your home. Maybe you want to buy a bigger home. Maybe you've been stuck in your home for a long time now and you see all the issues with it. You don't like that it doesn't have an open floor plan. You don't like that it doesn't have a big backyard. Maybe today is where you decide, hey, we're going to sell this home and we're going to take that profit and roll it right into our next home, a bigger home. That's what a lot of people are doing right now. They are upgrading or downsizing, depending on their particular situation. So the survey of economists, this is a survey of economists, and they were asked, when will U.S. housing inventory grow again? And 10% of them said the first quarter or the first half of this year. So we're still in that first half of this year. 43% said the second half of this year. 26% said the first half of next year. 12% said the second half of next year, and 9% said 2023 or later. We need the inventory now. And again, I think we are starting to see that build up, and I think it will be very, very good for the home buyers that are out there. I think that home buyers that have been struggling to find something or have been struggling to get into a home, I think that is about to become a bit easier anyway. Top 5 reasons homeowners are planning to sell. Here we go. Stuck in your house too long, and 1, our home no longer meets our needs. Hearing that a lot. We can make a profit in the current market. That is for sure. We want a smaller house or one with less work. I have a client doing just that. We want to live closer to friends and family. Don't want to have to travel the long distance anymore. And we want different features and amenities. They want that open floor plan versus not having the open floor plan. They want amenities around them. Very good reasons to pack up and get into a better home while rates are low and while the getting is good on home sales. Prospective home buyers planning to buy a home in the next 12 months, it is insane. They are still coming out of the woodwork. Still coming out of the woodwork. 16% of American adults are considering the purchase of a home in the next 12 months. Wow. 16%. So you think about, we have 300 million people in the U.S., 300 plus million people. 10% of that would be, what, 30 million? So, yeah, we're looking at like 36, maybe 40 million people looking to buy a home in the next 12 months. Absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing. And why home sellers should be wanting to sell right now. The average profit for a home seller has increased 26% from the first quarter of last year to the first quarter of this year. If you sold your house in the first quarter of last year, on average, you were profiting about $55,000. This year, that same house is profiting about $70,000. Lawrence Yun, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. He may be a bit biased since he's at the National Association of Realtors, but he is echoing exactly what I am saying. This is not a bubble. It is simply a lack of supply. There is no inventory. And actually, for the first time in, I would say, maybe a year, I might be off by that. It may have fluctuated with me missing it. But here in the Louisville, Lexington area, for the first time in a very long time, our inventory, our months of inventory has actually gone up. Last week, we were at 0.95 months of inventory, and this week we're actually above a month now. So 6 months is a stable market. Anything but, or 3 months, maybe 6. It might be 6. I don't know. It has been so long since we've seen this 6 months worth of inventory. Either 3 or 6, probably 3 now. But 6 months of inventory is considered a stable market. Anything above that's considered a buyer's market. Below that's a seller's market. So even at 1 month, we are still in a red hot seller's market, and there are still plenty of buyers out there, and plenty more, I think, are about to come in where they left off. So looking at the forbearance numbers, this is something that we have to really be considering now, as the government is starting to let the forbearance expire. And I know they're contemplating extending it, but I don't believe they have. And a lot of states are now starting to evict if they haven't paid their bills. But looking at the numbers, there are still 400,000 mortgages, 400,000 mortgages left forbearance in the last 2 months. So 400,000 mortgages have stepped away from that forbearance program. They no longer need the forbearance. However, that's still leaving 2.31 million. And those are the ones that are really worrisome, because if they don't start to pay their bill, or if they don't make up or get into a program again, they may wind up losing their home. Um, Looking at the data upon exit from the forbearance plan, 47.3% were paid in full. So of that 47.3, 25.5 made their monthly payments during their forbearance period. So basically they said, "Hey, we're going to look at this forbearance plan and get on the forbearance plan just in case." But they were able to actually keep up with their mortgage payments. 7.5% of that 47.3 paid off their loan entirely. Good for them. Debt free, including their house. Very, very good. And then 14.4% were past due on payments, but they brought them to current. So 47.3% of the individuals in that forbearance plan are going to be okay. They're going to be all right. 36.5% worked out some type of repayment plan. So 27% are in a loan deferral, which means the bank has said, "We're going to let you take a break until you get back to where you need to be." And then almost 10% had a loan modification, which means they went in, they either did a refinance, they changed the terms of their loan. However, they did that. Those individuals are somewhat okay for now. They're not in danger for now. However, that leaves 16.2% who are still in trouble, with 14.6% having no plan at all. So they don't know what they're going to do. Basically, once forbearance ends, they're going to be in trouble. And then 1.6% have decided to either do a repayment plan after forbearance, a short sale, or a deed in lieu. So instead of foreclosing on their house, they're just going to give up their deed to their house. So that is what has been happening. Again, 16.2% are still in trouble. And that's actually up from the beginning of the year where only 15.2% were in trouble. However, 36.5% have worked out a plan, and that's up from 32.5%. So that's good. However, those that paid in full, 47.3%, that's actually fallen from 52.4% at the beginning of the year. So the EVP of Realty Track says this, quote, "I think the math speaks for itself, how well the forbearance plan has worked. And it's one of the few times in his career that I've seen a government initiated program adopted as well and executed as well by the industry as this one." So basically, Rick Sharga, the EVP of Realty Track, is saying that this forbearance plan, the way the government instituted this plan, was a very good idea and was a good thing that they did, and they did it in a way that is going to save Americans their homes instead of Americans losing their homes, people losing their homes. They're actually going to save people from losing their homes, and that's important. That is important. It wasn't these people's fault that this pandemic hit, that the government shut down their economy, that the work, everything ceased. It wasn't their fault, and therefore they shouldn't lose their home because of that. The Wall Street Journal says that consumers were more upbeat about their income prospects last month. So that would have been April, because this is the May report. So consumers were more upbeat about their income prospects in April, and many appear eager to spend. The survey found that 8.9% of Americans plan to buy a home in the next 6 months. and that is the biggest share in records going back to 1978. So almost 9% of Americans plan to buy a home in the next 6 months. And that is a larger number than the record showed back in 1978. That is enormous, enormous, enormous. And it is a beautiful time to do it too. Interest rates, my goodness, they're at 2.99% right now. 2.99%. Under 3% yet again. An amazing time to buy a home. Going to save a lot of money on that mortgage payment because of those low interest rates. However, the predictions show higher numbers. So for quarter 3 of 2021, that should be next quarter, the projection from Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors, the average of those four, 3.35% for next quarter, 3.47% for the last quarter of 2021, 3.6% for the first quarter of next year, and 3.67% second quarter of next year. So if those projections are accurate, you will pay more in interest and you'll pay a higher monthly payment, a higher monthly mortgage payment next year if you decide to wait on buying a home until next year. You will pay more according to the projections. So again, right now, very low. Looking back to 2018, 4.8% was the average in the last quarter of 2018. Wow. 4.8%. So we are almost 2 percentage points below 4.8%. That is extraordinarily low. And if you ever want to, I am a realtor. Yet again, I'm David Hittle with United Real Estate Louisville. If you ever want to know what all that means, the interest rates mean, just give me a call. Give me a call. You can send me a text message me on Facebook, comment on YouTube. I will run the number through the amortization calendar and be able to tell you what that percentage rate does. Because it is extraordinary, because you're talking about a 30-year loan. And a 30-year loan at a high interest rate, that's that percentage every single year for 30 years or for 15 years, however you do it. It can cost you thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands over the lifetime of the loan. So if you're interested in that, just call me, text me, send me an email, hit me up on Facebook, comment on YouTube. I'll be more than happy to tell you the difference between those two. So, home price forecasts for 2021, the Mortgage Bankers Association predicts a 10.3% rise. Oh my goodness. A 10.3% rise in home prices in 2021. Freddie Mac predicts 8%, Zelman 7%, Freddie Mac 6.6%. The National Association of Realtors also 6.6%, Realtor.com 5.7%, and CoreLogic 3.5%. Now, if you remember last year, CoreLogic always had the lowest projection. They always thought that this year or last year into this year that CoreLogic always thought the lowest. They always projected the lowest. They actually at one point had said that prices would decrease last year, and we know that didn't happen. So the average of all the forecasts is 6.8%. 6.8% is the home price increase for this year as projected by the people in the know, the people doing it every day, the experts. So home sales forecasted to increase nicely in 2021 as well. So for 2021, they are projecting, or I'm sorry, for 2020, we had a total home sale of 6.5 million. 6.5 million homes were sold last year. And the projections for this year are higher than that, which is great. Almost 7 million is the average sale for this year. And then for 2022, also looking at about 7 as well. Great stuff. Great stuff is out there. And so if you have any concerns about any of that, feel free to reach out. I would be happy to help you understand anything, help anybody understand anything if they're having issues understanding what all that means. Again, I would love to run the numbers for those mortgage interest rates for you, because that's just amazing to me. You plug those numbers into that calendar, and it's like that interest rate going up a quarter of a point. That's a lot of money. A lot of money over those 20 years. So I've gone a little long. It's a longer show than normal because of the market update. But I do thank everyone for watching today, both on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. I'm always available to answer questions. I try to be a realtor with the heart of a teacher. So this is David Hittle with United Real Estate Louisville. If you enjoyed this vlog, as I call it, if you enjoyed this video, this live, if you're here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. And if you're here on Facebook, you can always add me as a friend. I love having friends. But until next Sunday, I thank everyone for watching. I hope it was entertaining and educational. So until next week, I thank you all for watching. Everybody have a great night.